What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I am bringing the GOAT Alolan Marowak to the meta with the updated Bone Club. This Pokemon has been the greatest of all time, but with the Bone Club update, it is actually extremely lethal. Not just fun, but very lethal against this meta. Now, I do apologize, the past couple days I haven't really been here. My kids, both my kids, are starting school, and we've been kind of, for parents who know, you're kind of, when the first week of school starts, you're back and forth from the school, you're meeting teachers, all this kind of stuff. So the last 2 days, it was all the reception, integration, running back. It was busy days for the family. Which is good. Like, we're moving on in that part of life. It was my wife and I were walking today, and we're just looking at each other like, this is our life now. We're walking our kids to school. It's nerve-wracking a bit, you know, because you're kind of letting them leave the nest a little bit. But that's just a little life update for me. That's why the past 2 days there hasn't been videos. But we're back. Today's team, pretty good. Had some good battles, really close wins, close losses, obviously, and overall pretty solid. So I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, moving into the first battle, we have Jumpluff on the lead versus Alolan Muck. And I'm like, whoa, haven't seen this Pokemon in a long time. It is actually a very good core breaker against Jumpluff and the GOAT because of the Poison Jab and Dark Pulse. So I decide to instantly come in with Dugong to kind of get a read on my opponent, and also Dugong is a huge threat with Drill Run because I know later on Alolan Marowak with Bone Club, the updated Bone Club, is going to do incredibly well against poison types, and they're deciding to stay in. This gives me a lot of key information. Firstly, they are very weak to Dugong in the back, so we got to start considering, might be grass type Pokemon, might be flying type Pokemon, might be Jumpluff. If you look at Muck, very weak to Gastrodon, Jumpluff in the back makes sense, or some kind of grass flyer, something like that, right? So we're just going to go ahead and soft lose. We got a 2-0 shield advantage, and you know what it's time to do. It's time to bring out the GOAT. This, I'm telling you guys, Alolan Marowak, you guys have seen me use it over the years and use it well. In metas where it has no business kind of being around the meta, but it works. And now it's just, it's an open season, right? So Alolan Marowak here, Cresselia coming in. Surprised they didn't bring in the Cresselia against the Dugong. But it ultimately doesn't matter. Alolan Marowak is going to sweep this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A 2-0 shield with the coverage that we have, and it's a Venusaur in the back. It was a grass. Makes a lot of sense. Good game to my opponent. All right, moving to the next one. We have Jumpluff on the lead versus Umbreon. I love when Dark-type Pokemon are on the lead. We've gone back-to-back so far, and this is my full 2 sets that we're seeing today. There's no cutouts. I know in previous seasons I've always kind of showcased the team. This is just the raw footage beginning to end, so there's some ups and downs in these battles, but obviously with an Umbreon on the lead, we want to get it as low as possible, right? We want to get rid of it because Umbreon could potentially be the hardest counter to Alolan Marowak, much like Game 1 against the Alolan Muck. That dark typing, the Dark Pulse, the Foul Play. Alolan Marowak has a tough time in those matchups. Thankfully, we now have the updated Bone Club, which does significantly more damage, and still Fire Spin is a great neutral damage fast move. But we are able to basically survive right here if we can hang on with this Foul Play. Now, my Jumpluff's IVs over there are not the best, obviously, for PvP IVs, but when I invested in this seasons back, it saved me a lot of Stardust, so maybe I'll get an updated one when I get better IVs, but for right now, this works, right? Acrobatics, it's going to be the Shadow Nidoqueen, so it's Dark Double Poison, I'm going to guess, but it's not. It's an Ampharos, which now we get to bring Alolan Marowak in, and you guys are going to see the updated Bone Club. Now, in order to win this game, Alolan Marowak doesn't necessarily have to be the one to win. How I lose is if I go down shield advantage against Ampharos and the Volt switches kind of take me out, and then Dugong is in trouble. So instead, I'm going to rely on Alolan Marowak here with the Bone Club spam, getting myself 2 shields from the opponent, and I'm going to let Dugong sweep instead because I can safely double shield whatever Ampharos is throwing at me, and then aggressively farm down the Nidoqueen. It's basically game over. So they have Trailblaze. They are going to go for the farm down, but they actually swap out into Nidoqueen. So now, I don't think this is Stone Edge. I don't think it was enough. I think it's just Poison Fang, so I got to let it go. And it is, in fact, Poison Fang. We farm down, and then the Ampharos is going to go down to Drill Run. So, good game to my opponent. Obviously, with their backline being very weak to Alolan Marowak's Bone Club because of Umbreon lead, that worked out very well for me. Alright, moving to the next one, we got Charge Bug. So, Charge Bug, this whole team can do actually pretty decent against Charge Bug. Jumpluff, again, I'm running Acrobatics. So, you guys might be wondering, like, why is my Jumpluff 100% IV? Why is it running Acrobatics when PvPo clearly says Aerial Ace and better PvP IVs, right? You guys might be wondering that. Like I said before, this is a Jumpluff I invested in years ago, and it works for now. It's not my best, like I don't have better ones yet. I'm still like needing to get better IVs, but this works for now. Similar to my Defense Form Deoxys, right? Or my Registeel. It works. It's not the best, but it works. And also, I Elite TM'd Acrobatics on, and I really don't want to give it away, and it actually surprises people who are expecting Aerial Ace like this Charge Bug. I was able to get the hard damage landing, right? So now we can come in with Alolan Marowak. I'm kind of concerned about Crunch, but I'm going to guess they don't have it. They do, in fact, throw Discharge, which is fine, and I get to farm down. Now, 2-to-1 shield advantage, and we see a Quagsire come in, so I'm going to go for Shadow Bone. My hope is that it is not double water in the back, double counters to Bastiodon. So I'm going to swap into Dugong, and it's a Poliwrath. So I only have one win condition, really. Poliwrath has taken down Dugong. There's nothing I can do about it. I gotta go for Drill Runs. If you go for Icy Wind, first of all, they're not shielding anyway. Secondly, the Poliwrath then gets more energy. So we're going straight Drill Runs in this situation. But my only win condition is to call an Icy Wind debuff from Poliwrath instead of Scald when I come back in, and then pray that I can farm down with Fire Spin and then Bone Club Shadow Bone Mind Game my opponent. So that's my call right here. This has to be Icy Wind to give me any hope and a prayer. So I let it go, and my opponent Gale goes for the win con, which is just throwing straight Scald. So good game to my opponent. All right, next one, we have Clefable on the lead. So like I do in every single video, when I'm battling, right, I'm giving you guys an afterthought when I'm battling. I'm always trying to think of, the second you see that lead Pokemon, you want to start considering what could be in the back. You want to think of pairings, the anchors, right? So Clefable being very weak to Steel-type Pokemon, much like Bastiodon, which is a big one in this meta now. I'm going to guess there's Gastrodon in the back, so I want to draw it out with Dugong. And they're deciding to stay in. Maybe they're going to soften me up, come in with a Gastrodon, come in with some type of ground-type Pokemon, and we're going to let the Moonblast go. We're going to go for the farm down, but they come in with Dunsparce, which is good because I read somewhat correctly. Dunsparce does fulfill the role of anti-Steel, right? It does have Drill Run, and it's weak to Fighting, which Clefable covers, so there is a core there to be had. But it's not the Pokemon that I wanted to see. Dunsparce is actually a big issue for this team. And I figured sometimes when you build teams, you may not notice that a Pokemon is extremely core breaking of it until you face off against it. And I don't get the Energy Ball right there, which is unfortunate. So now I got to come in with Alolan Marowak to try to win this game. Can I pull this off? Mind you, there's a Clefable, right? We're going to shield Drill Runs. We're going to load up on energy. And no, it's a Mandibuzz in the back. It's a good game. There's a Mandibuzz back there. All right, moving to the next one. Clefable. we gotta read the same thing, right? It's gotta be something that's anti-steel. It makes sense. Now, my last opponent had Dunsparce. Obviously, this game I'm hoping it's not Dunsparce. I'm hoping it's something more manageable. So we get a shield, which I'm like, okay, we get a shield early. That's a big tell. I actually swap into Alolan Marowak because I want to bait out the Moonblast to catch it for resisted damage, and we actually draw out Feraligatr. Now, my opponent gave away their hand when they shielded the first charge move. It told me they were actually weak to Jumpluff in the back, so I wanted to keep it alive. Now, I swapped into Marowak because I just wanted to catch that resisted charge move, right? But also here against the Feraligatr, we can go for double Bone Club. We get a shield, so now we have 1-0 shields, and we get the second Bone Club. So this is going to do quite a bit of damage, and then what we can do now is we have a great setup here for us. We can come in with Dugong and soak the charge move, right? We can just come in and fast move down. Hopefully they're just blind throwing an Ice Beam or Hydro Cannon. It's going to be Hydro Cannons. That's fine. We're just going to Ice Shard down. Because now we're in a very good situation. Even if they have something that beats Jumpluff, we're going to be able to have a lot of energy from farming down here, and they're going to have to come in with it. So let's see what they do. They come in with Gastrodon. So my read was correct. There was a Gastrodon back there on this team, which is great because now Jumpluff just wins the game. Right, because Clefable is behind on energy. It has no shields. Gastrodon cannot do any damage to Jumpluff. Yeah, it has Body Slam, but it's not. There's no like Ice Beam, right, from Feraligatr. We actually baited out the Feraligatr and got ourselves set up perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and shield the potentially hardest charge move left, and it was Swift, a Swift shield bait. So now I have to go for the aggressive farm down because this is going to be Moonblast, and this is going to be cutting it close because it's going to land. But thankfully, Fairy Wind is going to be enough damage, and I have a Energy Ball ready to go to one-shot the Gastrodon. So we were able to come back and overcome this game. That is going to be a good battle. Wait for it. Wait for it. A little bit of lag, which we'll see in the future battles. Boom! See ya. Good game. All right, moving into the next one. Again, this is my full set, 2 sets of battles. We got Lantern on the lead. Obviously, Jumpluff is very good in this matchup, and they safe swap Altaria. This is as good as it really gets when it comes to hard countering a team. Now, me personally, I would never use Altaria as a safe swap because it's too easily countered without being able to put pressure back on shields against its hard counters, right? Like a Bastiodon or a Dugong, because I can just fully farm down. This does 2 things for me. You might have been wondering, well, why didn't you shield Sky Attack? Well, I don't want the Lantern to get a lot of energy. Lantern can core break with Thunderbolt and Surf, right? But now I can go for Drill Runs here, get shields from the Lantern because two Drill Runs is going to be enough to take it out if they don't shield. So we do get 2 shields from them, and this is basically a wrap. A 2-0 shield game. I'm happy to take the W because I know what Alolan Marowak can do even in the toughest situations. Even if there's like an Umbreon back there, we'd still be able to do some work. So I shield the Thunderbolt and go for Energy Ball here. I want to maintain health on Jumpluff just in case I need it for the matchup in the back. And yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're just going to keep loading up on energy. And wait, no, it wasn't this game. It's the next one. Unfortunately, my opponent, I think, lagged there for a couple turns. It didn't really matter. We were going to just go for another Energy Ball anyways, and Thunderbolt doesn't do that much damage. And final Pokemon is, in fact, Shadow Ferrothorn, so we triple hard counter them, which is always nice to get when you are able to do it and not nice to be facing off against. So good game to my opponent, but obviously I had rock, paper, scissors against them right there. All right, moving to the next battle, Clodsire. Clodsire is another core breaker. It's not as bad as Dunsparce. Dunsparce isn't as bad either, right? Jumpluff and Dugong can do pretty nice in those matchups, even though they take super effective damage. But what's great here is Dugong has Ice-type moves for that ground typing there on Clodsire, and Alolan Marowak has the Bone Club. So there's really nice synergies to still handle a Clodsire, which is the top meta Pokemon this season, so you guys can easily handle Clodsire teams. Now, we're going to let them just get rid of Jumpluff. What I've noticed is Clodsire usually pairs well with a Flyer, So I'm hoping by coming in with Dugong and loading up on some energy, we are going to get said flyer, and hopefully Alolan Marowak does well. Hopefully there's no Mandibuzz back there. And what you guys are going to notice is I'm going to load up. I'm going to go for Icy Wind here. I maybe could have gotten away with another Ice Shard or two, but I didn't want to risk it, so let's just get the guaranteed thing. And what I notice is my opponent comes in with Talonflame. So this instantly makes me think they're double weak. What if it's double flyer? What if it's like a Jumpluff back there and Talonflame? So I'm considering it's double flyer, so I swap into Marowak to catch the potential flame charge. Again, resisted damage, and I'm reading potential double flyer. But they're staying in. So now I'm like, okay, maybe they're just trying to go for a potential Brave Bird here, maybe a Fly and Bail, so I'm going to shield, and we go for the farm down, but we're not going to get it in time, so I got to throw Bone Club here. And I'm starting to second guess myself. Was I correctly reading double flyer, or am I in really rough territory right now? You guys are going to see what happens. Again, you have to make plays based on the information you have. And what you guys are going to see is I don't get the farm down, and the final Pokemon was actually a Ferrothorn, which surprised me. I'm like, why didn't Ferrothorn come into Dugong? But that's okay. It was a loss for me anyways. The only way I win this game is if I just stayed in with Dugong, softened up Talonflame, and then swept AWAC, right? But I wouldn't have known that. Good game. All right, so we got Feraligatr here on the lead. They swap into Typhlosion, and Fat Finger. I meant to come in with Alolan Marowak. Alolan Marowak is primed to take down Typhlosion because we have Bone Club and we resist Incinerate. So now I'm like in a bad place where I actually have to lose Switch. I have to lose Switch, which is unfortunate because I faced off against a Feraligatr lead, and I need to get myself shield advantage. And what you guys are going to see is they're going to be able to go for double Thunder Punch, which is fine. I got to come in with Alolan Marowak now and really start to make a comeback. With a 2-to-1 shield advantage, I think that's going to be manageable. But unfortunately for my opponent, they lagged. I think their game froze or something, and I've been seeing some posts on social media on X, Twitter, that Android is having a lot of issues. Now, I play on an iPhone, and I haven't had these issues, but clearly my opponent is having that. And again, I live by the consensus that I'll let them try to see if they come back, but they're gone, right? So go battle lag giveth, and go battle lag taketh. It giveth to me the win, so I'm gonna taketh the W, right? But unfortunately, there's a lot of issues going on with Android with lag, so hopefully Niantic can get on top of that, and they can fix that relatively soon, because obviously having these kind of issues at the start of a season is very demoralizing. If you're just coming back and you're playing on Android, which is going to be half of you guys, right? And you guys experience this. That's really unfortunate. iPhone hasn't had these issues from what I've seen. It's only an Android issue, so I don't know what that could be. But clearly my opponent, I could have made a comeback from this game. To be fair, to my own credit, I think I could have made a comeback because Bone Club on Alolan Marowak would have done well. But look, had I come in with Alolan Marowak correctly, not Fat Finger Dugong, we would have won Switch, and we would have had Dugong against Goodra, so that's just good game, right? So it would have been a triple hard counter, so technically I should have won, but unfortunately my opponent lagged out, so I get the win anyways. So good game. Well, not good game. You lagged out. I'm sorry, man. All right. Moving into the next battle, we have Jumpluff on the lead versus Guzzlord. This is going to be the final battle here. And Guzzlord, great lead for us. Again, that dark type Pokemon. If you guys see a dark on the lead, it's a beautiful thing because Alolan Marowak has a lot of room to run. And what I love as well is people are so conditioned to Aerial Ace. They never expect the boom, the acrobatics, and Fairy Wind is double super effective. We are doing, I'm about to get taken by surprise here though. It threw a Sludge Bomb. I'm like, whoa, what are you doing? That is amazing. I wasn't expecting that. So kudos to my opponent. They come in with Salazzle. I instantly swap because I need to get ahead on energy, and we actually bait out a Swampert. So this is a good game unless, yeah, they would have Dragon Pulse most likely. But Dugong right here is going to be great because they go for straight Hydro Cannon after an Icy Wind debuff. So we're going to be able to easily maintain switch, have some energy ready to go. If they want to give up a shield, so be it. But I'm hoping that Switch Clock comes back up because then I could swap right into Alolan Marowak, but they decide to let it go. Switch is not up, so I'm just going to go for the Hail Mary Drill Run, but they decide to throw. Now, because I kept Jumpluff alive, this is going to allow me to have a bigger window of a win condition, right? My lose condition is shielding Poison Fangs and a Dragon Pulse landing. So I'm going to no-shield this first one, and it was a Poison Fang, which is good. My opportunity of winning, my win con, is now huge, right? I can safely shield this charge move, and then I can swap to clear the debuff on swap to clear the debuff, and I get the energy ball as well because of the timing. So my Poison Fang, double Poison Fang debuff is dropped. I get a shield with energy ball, and now I have double Bone Club ready to go to win this game. So good battle to my opponent right there, but thankfully keeping Jumpluff alive did exactly what I needed. It got a shield and it cleared debuffs. That is perfect. That is why I love to keep sacrificial Pokemon alive for situations just like this. And seeing Salazzle come in, you instantly got to recognize that there is a Poison Fang debuff right there, and you're going to have to clear it later on in the game. So good battle to my opponent. Overall, I think the team did pretty well. We obviously saw some trouble against Dunsparce. The team that gave us the biggest trouble was the Clefable Mandibuzz Dunsparce. I wasn't ready for the Mandibuzz Anchor, and Dunsparce obviously can be overcome by this team, but not when it is able to be like roam free. Good battles to all my opponents today. Sorry about the Android issues if you guys are having that. Hopefully a fix comes soon, but definitely worth a try if you guys love Dugong and Alolan Marowak as much as I do. Jumpluff pairs pretty well there because of how well it does against Gastrodon and just the meta as a whole. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.